All right, ballers, so we're going to talk about how to improve your hezi, your jumping, and your running skills. Okay, now it comes down to understanding what's involved in a hezi, or when you're about to take off for a sprint, or how you land. If you understand what's involved, then you'll know why it's important to do the movement we ask of you in a second here. So let's talk about the hezi. When you're doing a hezi, think about what's happening with the back leg. They talk about this in skills practice all the time, right? So if you're going hezi, it's here, and then you step back with that back leg and you explode forward, right? So going slow, it's here, it's step back. There's a left leg extending movement happening. Once the step back happens, you can go and go by your defender. Same if I show you from this angle right here, okay? It's a step. It's a step, okay? So every time you step back, that's what's key in order to get you to have power and explosiveness to drive through your back leg. Now, with that being said, think about sprinting, right? When you're about to take off, how do you take off? It's here. You're in attack mode, it's here, okay? Same when jumping. If you're coming down off a rebound and you grab the ball or you finish a layup, typically it's on one foot. You typically land on one leg. If you grab, it's here, or it's, and you should be practicing landing on both legs. If you overdo one leg more than the other, you will probably lead to chronic knee problems, ankle issues, hip problems in the future. Okay, so now that you understand what's involved in the hezi, okay, in a crossover even, and even on a rebound, even when you sprint, now let's talk about the movement you can do that can allow you to get your leg back in extension. Okay, not just extension, but also being able to keep your foot, your toes, your knees, and your hips in line, right? So if you've watched the last video, which is talking about why athletes keep hurting their knees, hips, and ankles, we talked about this. We talked about the fact that if your toes, you can zoom in on this again, Nick, if your toes look like this, all scrunched up like that, okay? Think about this knife of a foot. It's like a blade, right? How are you going to move with the blade? Not very well. There's no bounce, there's no push, there's no toe bendability to move back and forth. Okay, so if you're stepping back and your foot's in your shoe right now, your toes look like this, you're just collapsing, straight from this angle, you're just collapsing inward into the shoe. Where's your power having to come from at this point? It's not coming from your ankle and your foot, that's for sure. It's gonna come from your knee. Because watch my knee, it's gonna collapse inward a little bit, okay? Or the heel's gonna collapse out like this, and my knee's gonna go in. You don't have any big toe involvement, and the key thing to power, guys, with your feet is your big toe. If your big toe can't push, forget having to explode past your defender for very long. Yes, you might be explosive for a few years, but give it 10 to 15 years and you're headed towards knee problems, hip issues, ankle problems. Even if you're bone on bone, guys, right now, you still have to do the same work. Okay, so let's show you the movement that you're gonna need to do to improve your ability to extend back when you sprint, extend back when you hezi, extend back when you come down off a rebound, so on and so forth, okay? Once you understand this, you can apply this for a certain amount of reps, which we'll talk about in a second. Now again, before you do this video, make sure you do the last two videos we talked about. Those are very important. Do not skip to this video unless you watch the last one and the one before it, which was reducing your injuries by 50%, talking about soft tissue work, things of that nature, okay? Let's get to it. So here's the movement, it's called a top-down Ziza. Okay, so do your top-down Ziza, you just need a block and something that's immovable. I'm using the basketball goal right now. You can use a wall if you want to use that. So once you get this set up, and you can also do this with weight, but that's for a future time. For now, all you're focusing on and thinking about is understanding how to get your foot and your big toe to bend. Okay, so if this big toe cannot bend, again, you're headed for a world of hurt and pain. So you want this big toe to be able to spread and bend. So from here, I'm gonna get my foot up against the block, okay, like this. And if it's falling out like this, not a good thing. So get your foot up against the block, like that, and you can see how my toe is bending right now. All my toes are bending. And from this position, you want to step out with your front leg. What does this look like right now? It's the Hesis leg, right? It's the ability to push off. It's the ability to sprint. It's the ability to land without your knees buckling and hurting. So that's why we get into this position in the first place. Okay? Now, once you're in this position, the front leg needs to be far enough out in order for you to get your pelvis to go underneath you. To do that, the first thing you have to understand how to do is take this foot and push both downward first to bend the toes, and then back towards the block, like you're trying to push towards this rig right here, okay? I'm pushing down and back. My heel should not fall out. If it falls out like that, you're probably not using your big toe at all. And you're gonna feel your knee feel terrible at some point. So you have to make sure that your weight is actually bending on the big toe here, okay? So once you get in this position, get your toe to bend, you're gonna push down and back into the block. And once you do that, we recommend our athletes interlock their fingers like this, okay? And pull apart like this to set your elbows in and your shoulder blades down towards your hip pockets and back into the spine. This cue should enable you to get this cue, okay? And the foot pushing back into the block should enable you to get this to happen, because that's the whole purpose, is you want your pelvis to go from here to here. Okay, so let's watch that in action. I'm here, position, interlocking, push, and I tuck. See how I naturally lean my torso back, guys? That's because my pelvis and my knee and my thigh are coming forward as a result of my pelvis. So I go here, and I'm just pulling apart. Had a fly on me. Pulling apart, pulling apart, pulling apart. And constantly, I am constantly trying to get all of this under me. Okay, all of this here. If you do it correctly, you're gonna feel your arch, your shin, a lot of quad, especially around the VMO. Muscle that goes right around that knee. Your shin, you'll feel your abs, of course, your psoas, your abs, all of it's gonna be on fire. Show this to you again. I'm here. I'm gonna push, boom. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Now I naturally bring my hands up because it gives me counterbalance. You don't have to do that, but I keep pulling apart and setting my blades as I lower myself, okay? Now again, it's a bit of a counterbalance that's happening. As your pelvis goes here, your torso goes back. Not this, where you're arching your back. It's this staying here. And if you're not doing it right, you're gonna feel something here. If you do it correctly, it's all of this, okay? It's all of this. It's a lot of arch. Of course, obviously it's your big toe. We know that. It's gonna feel uncomfortable. And if the block is too hard and corky like this, then use a soft block. Whatever you need to feel comfort. Here, boom, ready to go, pull apart. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Okay? And you want to make sure you maintain that tuck on the way up. This is not a lunge. You're not just going, that's not it. It's all about the back leg. Okay? That's why we want you to really lean back into the back leg when you do this. It's really going here and leaning and pushing, leaning, pushing, tucking, leaning, pushing, tucking, and keep it on the way up too. Keeping the tuck both ways. So we want you to do this for 40 reps in a row. If you can't do 40 right now, break it up into sets. However many sets it takes to get to 40, once you can accomplish that, guys, then of course, half your body weight and weight loaded on you, so 2 dumbbells will work for 40 reps. So if I'm 200, it's 100 pounds total, 50 per arm, 40 reps. Most of you cannot even do load yet. Don't worry about it. Only thing you're focusing on is body weight. And that's it. Perform that, get 40, however many sets it takes, then get 40 in a row, then slowly amp up your weight until you get half your body weight. At that point, this knee's gonna feel pretty dang bulletproof. It can bend, it can hezzy, it can land, okay? It can take off in a sprint, whatever you need. All right, so get this done. Let us know if you have questions. Boom.